Someone really needs to invent a spell of how to locate Percival because the dude just gets lost so easily. And like even with Meliodas, how he gets distracted so quickly and how when doing so he just wanders off. It again it leads to a constant silly scenario that can happen to him whenever he goes places as long as he has this trait, which is fine. But I'm just saying like the other characters need to remember this so they know like, hey, we're about to go in a big city and Percival is a person, so we need to make sure we actually keep an eye on him or at least do this magic spell. So it's like he's lost. Maybe it like puts a flare up after a while so they can locate him. I don't know. But it begins, we find out a little bit more information. It seems Tristan went to go find the other missing member of the Four Knights. And when talking about the whole thing about the Four Knights of the Apocalypse, Meliodas says that Lancelot didn't reveal certain aspects of like the whole picture, and that he's going to tell them pretty much everything once all of them gather. I didn't really like that Percival was kind of questioning the whole stuff about it because it gives a little bit more insight on his character, thinking more about some of these serious aspects and things that he's experienced that directly connect to him. It keeps his character from feeling more like a caricature, that he's just too goofy, and it keeps him it keeps him actually energized as feeling like a moving character again, instead of just kind of like a part that's kind of just going to fit this personality and never change. But once this I can't remember, that's one of the types of demons, isn't it? No. It was a sand creature, I think, because I remember when the hawk ate part of one of these and they could kind of glide. I don't remember exactly what the manta ray thing is, but I recognize it from Seven Deadly Sins. But a dude comes and informs Meliodas that Tristan is back, but during that, Percival sees like what looks like some fireworks and stuff, and then goes and just wanders off to go and investigate and see what it is. So again, it makes sense that he would do this just because, how he is, who he is. But while doing so, he runs and he like bumps into some girl, and like it's just because he's so short, he goes like right up under her skirt. Listen, this girl's got to take a little bit of a compliment. He said it smells good. At least it means that she keeps good care of herself. And I would assume, like, this girl like takes it way too far. Like, I would assume that, like Minnie, if you didn't know Percival is actually like 16, you'd think he's like a kid. So this girl definitely like is taking things a little bit too far. Like trying to like crush his. Again, I assume she saw him as a kid, but from her perspective, a kid's balls with her mace. And I am happy that she is using a mace. I like when characters use weapons outside of just kind of like regular swords. Just like swords are my favorite weapon by far. But I like seeing weapons outside of that when you see a character again competently. It's a different story when a character is using some really cool different weapon, but then they end up being fodder. I like, seeing a character who's again using like a flail. I don't have to worry too much with these characters right now, at least, about their power level, because the relevancy of characters we're going to be fighting isn't going to be relevant. It's not going to be relative to Meliodas and stuff, because we know like random like younger holy knights like this. It's like who would care? But we're going to be seeing, for the most part, enemies on relative level, or at least within range that they could reasonably defeat to the main cast, because that just makes sense. But these guys, I like them so far. The dude with the staff, he seems pretty He's just got like kind of like that over the eye comb over that is okay, nothing crazy. The other dude's just got kind of like that sharper eyed look, but a little bit of a more interesting hairstyle. Neither of these guys look very interesting though. The girl though is Isolde, I think is how her name is pronounced. She seems pretty cool. I want to see what her magic is, because the one dude, it seems that his magic is some form of like he's doing some form of thing to like mess with Percival's voice. That's actually a pretty good thing, because like I'm guessing he's a support person, because that's actually a pretty good support ability, because one, it would cut off somebody's ability to communicate verbally, but like if you have certain abilities that require like so maybe spells that require like incantation or you gotta say their name. Something like that, I can see it automatically, like, being a strong counter to. It's pretty much just a silence, which has, like, it's, for the most part, situational uses. Like, say you have a character that can't use certain abilities now, it's like, okay, well, what if they also are just skilled in melee combat or something? Or they have abilities they don't need to use any form of verbal exchange of any kind in order to activate it. But these are going to be much lower level characters, so I would imagine, similar to the one girl who had the, she just made copies of herself, and she made she had the staff that just did basic elements. At a low level, that's pretty useful, but obviously, like, if you got up to bigger people, it's like, what is this chick gonna do? Like, she'd be fodder to, like, start of series Meliodas, but obviously to the main cast members who aren't that powerful outside of Percival, who's not crazy powerful, but the thing is he's not very experienced, so it kind of like double edges to his raw power levels and stuff. But there's a moment where they're talking, and these are all knights for Leonis, and they see the handle for Percival's sword, knowing it's a piece of coffin of eternal darkness, and they think that he is a enemy of Leonis and is an agent of Camelot, like one of Arthur's knights. But now Percival can't do anything or can't respond or talk because the one dude silenced him. That's definitely a really bad, like, it's a bad situation to get in. But from their standpoint, if I was a character, say like I was a high-ranking holy knight, and they came up and said this to me, they're like, "Hey, we got this guy," and he's like beaten to hell. Like, this is a guy who's, maybe it's like, because assuming he's not dead, let's just say that they beat him to interrogate him. What's the one dude's weapon? I forgot about, because like the one guy's the staff, but I think the other guy just has a knife or like a dagger. Yeah, he's just got like a dagger, a short sword. But the one girl has a flail. So like you're gonna do damage to somebody. And then it's like, well, how did you know he was a agent of Camelot? It's like, oh, he's got this sword handle, it's coffin of eternal darkness. And then and then it's like, well, did you question him? They couldn't, they silenced him, he couldn't talk, and then you find out exactly what happened. I'd be like, what the fuck? Like that'd be like one of those things you guys are borderline about to get kicked out. That is such a bad thing where it's like, yeah, if you were right, it could have been really good, but if you're wrong, it'd be catastrophic. Because like, what if logically they're not going to beat Percival, but like, say, what if they got in a scenario where they killed Percival because of their misunderstanding, and they screw the world over and everything? That would just be like, just execute them, execute these guys, get them out of here. Like that is a bad team strategy, especially for your own town. If you were if you were in enemy territory, like say they invaded the kingdom of Camelot, like maybe not obviously not Arthur's dimensional kind of Camelot, but like where the whole area that he controls, like any towns or whatever. Sure, I can see that, because like you're in enemy territory. Logically, whoever you're going to run into is going to be more loyal to Arthur than as an ally to a potential ally to you. But you are in Leonis. You are in Leonis. You don't question this at all. You don't ask him any questions whatsoever. There's no form of conversation. And granted, I get this is a scenario where it's like, because of the misunderstanding, it's like this. And it makes sense from a story standpoint. I'm not insulting the story whatsoever. I'm talking about for these characters, because guessing by their age, they're also very young holy knights. They're going to be really inexperienced. But from a militaristic standpoint, considering their rank and like what they could do to an innocent person, because these aren't like just random characters. Say this is a series where it's like, oh, these are characters who are just, they're a team. They're part of a team that goes out and do stuff. But like stuff like this, and say like Black Clover, or anything where they're part of an organization, you have to take that into context, because it's like, for instance, I'll use another series, Fairy Tail. They're not part of a military. They're not part of a hierarchy like that. They are part of a guild, and they would still get in trouble. They would still be in a lot of trouble for that kind of stuff. But for stuff like, being a knight in your kingdom's military, something like that, because at that point, it comes into a whole extra thing of problems. And a way I can easily describe it for those who don't know anything about like military and stuff, and especially for a knight, because you got way more stuff as a knight, but there are extra rules and extra like things you can get punished for in the military for like certain rules that you can break. So say like for instance, I'll just use the series. Like if as a knight, like you can get more trouble as a knight for stuff that you wouldn't get in trouble as a civilian, because obviously your honor and stuff has to come into play a lot too. And for instance, if they just like not even killed Percival, but they dramatically injured him in this scenario, that would be like dishonoring to the kingdom, because it would be them insulting pretty much Percival, like the kingdom itself, because they are knights that represent the kingdom of Leonis and Meliodas. Meliodas would probably be more chill about it, but like say like if I was like their direct higher command, I'm trying to think of it how exactly it worked for the military. I guess just higher rank Holy Knight. Like I'd be freaked out. I'd be like, what the fuck? That is a terrible, terrible method of how to go about, taking out a potential enemy. Because you put him in a scenario where if the character isn't strong enough to just, put him in a spot where, well, let's say like Percival doesn't just kind of put him down to where they can't fight back and he can just kind of get up where he can talk to him. But that's like he either has to beat him the hell up, get in a spot where somebody else is gonna have to intervene, or like they might just like beat him to hell. And again, if that happens, these guys are gonna look really bad. These guys, from a standpoint of Holy Knights, it's gonna be a huge insult. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. It was an enjoyable chapter. I wish Percival didn't get distracted and wander off, but I understand why he did. I'm hoping that we'll see Tristan soon, and we'll see the other member of the Four Knights that we haven't had any real information on yet. But anyway, other than that, comment below. Thumbs up the video, my friend, like, and subscribe, and check out my other videos. And that, thank you for listening. Bye.